Hi, I'm Teresa from Phoenix Gate Crafts, and today we're talking about daily workflow. So I'm not actually going to be talking about how to organize your production because that's going to be different for every single business, especially with differences between industries. So like how a candle maker makes their supplies is definitely going to be different than somebody who does woodworking. So I'm not even going to bother trying to explain that process because we already talked about organizing your operation space so that you can just pick up what you need and be as productive as possible. What we're talking about is actually structuring and organizing your workflow throughout the day or throughout the week, so that way everything gets done when it needs to get done. There is a very dry and boring book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It is the driest read you're probably ever going to read, but I suggest everybody reads it because everybody kind of needs to hear what it says. Here we go. There is one thing in here. Ignore most of this page. It is literally this. It's on page 151. It's this cross section. I'll actually post a picture of it here if I can find one. It's basically the time management matrix, and so you've got urgent, non-urgent, important, not important. And most of the time we want to be in area 2. Everything we do is not urgent, but it is important. So we never want to get to any of the others where we're urgent and it's important. Those are like deadlines are coming up and you got to do it now. We don't want to do that because that puts you just in this unnecessary panic. There's usually a time crunch involved. It's unnecessary stress. You don't want things to be urgent and not important. You're urgently doing something that's not important. Why isn't it done already? You know, it's that attitude. And then area number 4 is not urgent and not important. Then why are you wasting your time on it? So once you get everything done that is not urgent but important, you want to be able to then move on to things that are not urgent and unimportant because nothing else is really sticking out that has to get done. So that's kind of the way you want to live. You want everything to be done because it needs to get done, but it's not a crisis point. And a way to make sure that you never wind up in a crisis point is having a good way of handling all the different types of work you need to do. First things first, emails. There was a lady that I did some marketing consultation for, and she only ever looked at her emails at the end of the day. And as a result, she was always late on stuff because she never realized the communication that had happened that a lot of people were expecting her to do earlier in the day, get things done. She only designated the last hour in the day for emails. I do not suggest that. I suggest doing a half an hour when you start your day and a half an hour when you come back from lunch. That way you're kind of keeping tabs on it. And if there's something that you're trying to talk to somebody about, say you want to go to a particular street fair and vend at it, and you're in communication with the event people, you can send your initial email in the morning, and by lunch they'll probably have a reply, and you can ask questions and be a little bit more on it. It's a great way of handling that. In addition to doing emails twice a day, I would check for other business communications. So this is on social media communications like direct messaging. This is anybody who's on your Etsy or your website who is sending you questions. You're making sure you're getting them. So I would check email first and then check these and do it twice a day just to make sure that you're keeping up with it. Worst case scenario, you're checking and there's nothing there and it takes 5 seconds. Best case scenario, you actually have stuff to deal with and it takes you maybe an hour to deal with a bunch of different things. But because you have this designated time, and I think it's a great way of getting into the bustle of your day, sit down in your office, turn on your laptop, check these things, and just make it real quick. You get it out of the way. And because you're doing it at the beginning of the day and at the beginning of your afternoon, a lot of customers, especially if they have complaints or problems, are going to feel that you are being very responsive and that you are respecting their time when it's just part of your habit. While you're doing this, it's also a good idea to set some time aside for back office tasks. So these can be a variety of things. This can be periodically 3 or 4 times a day checking in for sales so that you can actually fulfill orders. These are often generated through the emails on any tasks you need to do, like if you have to do any business maintenance things. About once a week or so, you should probably do your accounting and inventory, making sure that you're doing ordering on time, those kinds of back office things. You should probably do this at least once a week. I mean, it really depends on the specific schedule you want, but I typically do my accounting on Fridays, and I do my inventory on Friday so that way I can order it by Monday. So, these things, you just kind of plan out what day you want to do them if it's something that fits a weekly task, or make sure that it's part of that little block of office time that you do in the morning and the evening. Payroll. If you have employees, payroll and employee stuff and scheduling, those kinds of things can be in this block. Marketing should also have its own separate time. Now, marketing is not just dealing with direct messages. That's part of the messaging block. I count marketing as a whole bunch of items, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of these, but these are things like being part of your Chamber of Commerce, doing all your social media, making sure you've got your blog, YouTube, or TikTok post set up for the next week, planning a schedule of events for your own business and sales, and planning your own new product line and how you're going to market and advertise it. Getting your name out there and doing a lot of the things like SEO, keywords, managing your listings if you need to do that. These are good things to have a special block to do as well. Now, the marketing, I include product lines as part of marketing because what you're making is what you're going to advertise, but not everybody sees it that way. So you should honestly, this is a thing that's going to surprise most people. You should honestly be spending at least 2 hours a day working on marketing. 3 or 4 might be necessary depending on the season and what you're doing specifically with your marketing. Marketing is the make it or break it thing for many businesses, and because it can be expensive, it is often neglected. But the people who don't neglect it, it is the building block that is going to build your business because it is going to find your target market and bring it to you. You need to dedicate enough time for this every day. And this does include things like taking pictures of your production line, your finished products, filming little videos of things that happen. So some of this can overlap with other parts of your day, but just make sure you're devoting enough time to it. At least 2 hours every business day, preferably 3 or 4 if you need it. And then the last block is making time. And this is where you actually just make stuff. So this isn't the planning phase, that's part of the back office work. This is the actual making stuff. And I often include fulfilling orders in this too because it's easier when you're all in one place for it because it's where you put all your stuff, right? So most new businesses think that all the time of the day is going to be making products. And eventually when you're busy enough, it very well can be several 8-hour days of just production. But typically when you get up to that business level, you hire some staff and they can start taking over tasks you don't want to do as much, either on the production side or the back office end of things. You can also outsource tasks you're not super familiar with, like I outsource payroll because I don't know what all goes into properly paying my employees, and I want to make sure that they get paid what they deserved. At that stage, yeah, it's a bit of a what do you want to do? What do you trust other people to do with your business? But when you're starting, you're probably not going to sell as much as you think you're going to sell. So making sure you can build up your stock so you have enough to sell when orders come in, and making sure you're able to manage the business end of things is probably the most important thing to start off doing. And then your priorities can shift as you become busier. But I would start off definitely with 2 hours of production time scheduled in, and then adjust as needed based on the level of business you get. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section. I do read them. Also, please like, share, and subscribe so that anybody who would actually need to hear this information can. And happy crafting. Bye.